The more I have been thinking about what is taking place in the world right now, and especially how it affects those of us in the United States of America, we can definitely see that there is a bigger issue happening. There is definitely a bigger idea of how to effectively destroy this nation. This article that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today talks about the toxic takedown of the United States, but I do want to address a few other things as well because this is something that I think a lot of us have at the forefront of our minds is this obvious takeover of the United States of America and the world as far as, propaganda, control, manipulation, the elites sort of piloting this whole conglomerate that we have going on here, moving us towards the New World Order, if you will. You hear this dropped continuously in reference by these people. And I do believe that this is their ultimate goal. They want to depopulate the world, get us into a more manageable population, and then they want to control every aspect of our lives so that they have all of the power, all of the freedom, all of the resources, and we're left with a few breadcrumbs. So I'm going to go ahead and hit some highlights of this. I thought this was an interesting article. Per usual, I will link it in the description box for you guys. So it says that Scott of SJ Wellfire warned that a toxic takedown of the U.S. is already happening. And he's talking not just about the train derailment that we've witnessed in Ohio, but all of these other chemical spills that have come out recently as well. In fact, I believe there's another one that's happening in Florida just now where there's another toxic chemical spill. So all these weird toxic chemical spills of truck accidents and all of these other things that are taking place being spewed out of manufacturing plants, the different ones that we have seen that have happened with these fires that have hit all of these food production facilities. I think there was a metalworks facility that also had some sort of a fire that broke out there. Many of these things they say are unexplained. They don't know what caused it. Somehow they can never get to the root cause of the issue. So he's talking about how big pharma makes a lot of money with the sickness in America. And I agree with that. That's why I believe the FDA is going to be coming out strong. There's been all of this talk about them coming out against all of the natural remedies that we're going to have access to. They want to crack down on that so that we can't get to those things that we need. We all know about the horse pill that was not allowed for us to utilize because of the issues that we've had. They didn't want us getting that so that they could push forward with the jabs, right? So they didn't want that therapy really being out there for people to access, and they've really squashed that. There's also talk about eggs and why we've seen such a crisis in the egg industry, that it has more to do than just this bird flu that they say is going on, because there is actually components in that egg that helps fight against the C19 that we've witnessed. So there's all these things that they do to try to get us away from the more natural treatments and onto the other the big pharma, the pharmaceuticals that they want, right? So he talks in here about how they're introducing all of these fake meats and fake vegetables, and that's going to help them push this as they have contaminated all of the food production in that area. And that's a good point, because there's a lot of farmland there. There's a lot of, all of our food is grown there. And if they start telling us that we can't eat that food any longer, then it's going to help them be able to push more of these things that they want us to eat, right? All of the bug proteins and these other foods that they've come out with. So it says that it will lead to recall of certain food items. It's also impacted the Ohio River, which we knew about, right? And it supports 160 different species of fish that are being destroyed in this. And this is also going to help them move the efforts of getting these people out of this area, getting them to move into these smart cities so that they're not in this area, in this rural area that they don't want people in, right? So eliminating property rights, it's going to help them appropriate the land in order to make a land grab for the minerals, the oil, and the farmland, all for themselves. Whatever it is that they want to take over there, they're going to be able to do so because they've convinced everybody to leave. And fourth, they're going to benefit from cleaning up the spill. So there's money to be made there with that cleanup. I think that he's on to something here. He talks more in here about how all of these, trackers, the passport systems, the carbon credits, the social credit scores, the biometric IDs, and of course the central bank digital currencies, all are going to be working together in this enslavement system and paving the way for this one world government takeover. And I agree with that. And I wanted to go ahead and touch on something else. I'm also going to clip in a video for you guys because I think it's really important that you see what this individual is up to. This is another article that came out by Natural News the other day, and it was talking in here about how this Pentagon advisor wants to create these mind control neuro weapons, which is something that we should all be aware of what's going on here with this, right? So we already know about the information war and the propaganda that's been pushed out there. We've also heard the stories about how the UN is trying to squash the ability for all of us to communicate via social media. They're going to talk a lot about controlling misinformation there, right? Anything that goes against their current narrative, they're going to be trying to squash that and make it a lot harder for us to put out anything that is deemed misinformation. It could be blocked entirely at some point in time, guys, because they're really trying to get all of these countries on board with this. But this goes beyond this. It talks a lot about this transcranial electronic stimulation, controlling the minds using bioweapons and nanotechnology to allow the remote implantation and extraction of thoughts. So this is something that they're working on. Now, whether or not they actually have this technology, he says that they do back in 2018 when he's addressing this room full of people, that they have the ability to do this, and it can be aerosolized in something as small as a pen to impact an entire room full of people, which is absolutely crazy to think about. But they do have, he's saying they have this technology. Now, whether or not they've actually deployed it on anyone yet, that is anyone's guess, but they do have the ability to do this stuff according to this individual.
We can even go further. One of the newest developments is that nanoparticulate matter can be stabilized for distribution. If you're not aware of what nanoparticulate matter is, it's that matter which exists on a scale of 1 times 10 to the minus ninth. Very, very small. Smaller than a cell. And we can manufacture materials that have discrete properties that can be controlled by virtue of bioengineering and their physical chemistry. To auto-aggregate, to be able to aggregate in particular areas based upon their biological and or chemical sensitivity. But now we go one step further. Most recently, just a few weeks ago, it was announced that you could then aerosolize nanomaterials. And go one step further, I can create small robotic units, controllable robotic units at the nanoscale, and that these too can be aerosolized to create a nanoswarm of biopenetrable materials that you cannot see, that can penetrate all but the most robust biochemical filters, that are able to integrate themselves through a variety of membranes, mucous membranes, and wherever, mouth, nose, ears, eyes, can be then uptaken into the vascular system to create clumping, can affect the vascular system of the brain, or can directly diffuse into the brain space, and these can be weaponized. And they can be done in such a level that their presence is almost impossible to detect, and as such, the attribution becomes exceedingly difficult to demonstrate. How much of this material would I need? Take a look. This is the front of my pen. This amount of nanomaterial, if be able to maintain and sustain with regard to its deliverability and aerosolization, could in fact affect all of you, or based upon where I come from, New York City, all yous. Look at this. Look at this. I'm carrying that material. Would you see it? Would I have to lug a giant weapon into the room? No, I wouldn't. And what if, in fact, I utilize some form of an unmanned aerial device or unmanned ground device as a delivery vehicle? Something like a drone or a bug. Could I do something with that? But let's keep going. Could I also utilize a whole host of devices to be able to affect individuals close in, for example, during interrogations, during social engagements, during human terrain team engagements, or more remotely, in a room, in a theater, in an airplane, in a bus, in a store, in a mall? The answer is increasingly
I think it's something
yes.
that we need to be aware of, the possibility of them actually controlling our thoughts, mind control at some point. And, it would be a situation where how would you guard against something like that? Are we going to have to begin donning, chemical masks of sorts just to go out in public because we don't know, what they're putting out there, what we're being exposed to? These are some very serious things that we have to ponder. There is a lot going on here. I think that we need to be guarding our hearts and our minds. We need to continue to prepare. All of this information that, those of us in the community bring to you are just more reasons why we should continue to prepare to the best of our abilities. I'm not saying go out and go into debt, but I am saying, make those strides, do those small things that you can do every day to get yourself more prepared. If it's, just picking up a couple of canned goods, or it is learning a new skill, if it is researching something and becoming more aware of what is going on, if it is, picking up some more literature, some more books. They're really after all of our books and our reading material. At some point, we may not even be able to access certain things that we have taken for granted, right? Because if they start blocking us out as far as communicating, they're not going to want us getting a hold of more natural means of, taking care of our bodies, the health aspects of that. So a lot of literature may begin to disappear, in addition to our historical references that, we may want to have access to and be able to pass down in teaching our children. So I want to encourage you guys to continue to prepare. And above all else, guys, prepare yourself spiritually and mentally for what's coming, because I believe a lot of what we are seeing, a lot of what we are witnessing in our country and in the rest of the world comes down to a spiritual battle. This is good versus evil. These people are of no good. They are of evil. Anything that wants to control you, to shut out free thought, to shut your ability to communicate with, your creator, that wants you to think exactly the way they do, that wants you to eat all of these fake things and be hooked up like a cyborg to some sort of an AI fake world that they want to create, and sort of merge you with that and destroy everything about you that's human, including compassion and empathy, and is really, trying to destroy life in its very essence, is not of God. It is absolutely evil. And we need to be aware of that. We need to be able to spiritually discern these things. We need the Lord to order our footsteps and to guide, protect our hearts and our minds, and really be careful, guys, about what you are watching, what you are listening to, what you are allowing into your eye gate and into your ear gate, because everything that you absorb through those portals, you are then going to be harboring in your heart. And then that stuff is also going to be coming out of your mouth. So stay rooted and grounded in the word. Pray, seek the Lord about what you should do in your particular situation. And if you guys have enjoyed this video today, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. Remember to pray, prep, and put God first. God bless.